It's the 1st of October as I'm filming this video. It's officially spooky season. I am ill, so if I look ill and I sound ill, I'm really sorry. And today we are talking about all of the new book releases that are happening in October 2024 surrounding witchcraft, paganism, and all of the good spooky stuff. Now, this would normally be part of my What's New in Witchcraft series. However, because I'm ill and I really needed to get these videos up pretty quick, I decided to split it into two sections. So if you're looking for the astrology that's happening in October, that is a separate video. I will leave it linked up here. And if you're looking for the occult books, you are in the right place. We're going to be talking about a whole range of books that are releasing in October, all about witchcraft and spells and paganism and all of that good fun stuff. And I'm hoping that I'm not going to end up in a coughing fit or a sneezing fit through this entire video, but we will have to see. Now, per request, I've actually changed how I've done this. So rather than splitting this into UK releases and US releases, I'm instead just doing them all in one go, and I will let you know when that book is coming out in the UK and the US, whether it's been released already, whether it's yet to be released. I'll give you all of the details on that. And once again, I'm not affiliated with any of these publishers or any of these authors. I just love talking about witchcraft books because I'm passionate about it, and I know that many of you are as well. And I've not read any of these books. So if they're awful, I can't tell you, and if they're great, I also can't tell you that either. So if you've read some of these books, let me know, because in some areas they do release sooner than others. So with that being said, let's look at some of the books. Oh, and this also probably isn't all of the books that are being published. It's just that this is the majority of them that I could find. There are probably more that I just completely missed. And if I have missed any, feel free to put them down in the comment section. I have my computer right here so that I can read what is happening. Otherwise, we might be here for a while. So if you see me look this way, I'm reading my giant script, which, if you're ever curious, is currently 47 pages long. I should not be filming this when I'm ill. It's also going dark, so it's going to get really dark really, really quick. So, oopsies. Up first, we have Modern Magic, Stories, Rituals and Spells for Contemporary Witches by Michelle T. A self-described DIY witch and professional tarot reader, literary and feminist icon Michelle T provides a fascinating magical history and spiritual traditions from around the world, giving us the tools, spells and rituals to navigate our stressed-out, consumer-driven lives. Witty, down-to-earth and wise, she bewitches us with tales of how she crafted her own magical practice and came into her own. She also shares enchanting stories from her earliest witchy days as a goth teen in Massachusetts, as well as insights from her adult practice. Modern Magic gives us the tools to tap into a stronger, distinctive magic that lies within us, one that incorporates queer, feminist, anti-racist, intersectional values. These include love magic for the 21st century, hexes for when you really need them, and an exploration of magical ethics, sleep magic from dream interpretation traditions to prophetic dreams, thoughts on why magic practice is spiritual practice. Michelle shares her truth and observations about the world around us, as well as her vision for what it could be. For novice and seasoned witches alike, Modern Magic is the essential guide for defining and deepening a practice that aligns with our individual political and spiritual values. So this one actually looks pretty interesting to me. It's one of those books where I wouldn't say it's necessarily overly beginner-friendly. It's not something that I would necessarily recommend for a beginner. I think it's really interesting, though, as an intermediate practitioner, to be able to look into other people's magical practice and see their journey, where they came from, how they got to be where they are today. I think that's really, really fascinating. I am curious as to how the magical ethics is going to tie into this, because usually when I see magical ethics in a book, it revolves around the Wiccan ethics, and that doesn't necessarily align with the fact that there are hexes in this book. But I do find it really interesting, and I am tempted to give this one a read. This is releasing on the 1st of October in the USA and the 24th of October here in the UK. Next up, we have The Wild Wool Shepherdess, Weave the Ancient Path, Reignite Your Feminine Fire. Reconnect to the wisdom of the land, animals, and the moon, and be inspired to find your own power and freedom in this poetic memoir. Do you long to be amongst nature, in the wild, remote, untouched places, where the moon nears full, and the energy is visible and present? Do you feel as if you don't really belong, and that there is something missing in your life? Full of incredible and transformative stories of a life with her flock and wolf companion, ancient craft techniques, animal messengers, sacred places, and indigenous wisdom, This book tells the story of how the author found her place in the world and how you can find your unique path too. From her childhood in a Nottinghamshire pit village to creating a new life in harmony with nature and rediscovering the wild woman within, this book will show you that it is possible to live a different way, one where you are deeply connected to the earth, animals, and your powerful feminine wisdom. So this is releasing on October 1st in both the UK and USA. The next book I'm really excited about. This is The Folklore of Devon, and many of you, especially those who saw my most recent bookcase organisation, will know that I absolutely love folk tales, folk legends, all of this stuff. I love collecting them, I love learning about them, and any of you who like the stories like I do are probably going to love this one. Devon has a long and rich folkloric heritage which has been extensively collected over many years. This book consolidates more than a century of research by eminent Devon folklorists into one valuable study and builds on the vital work that was undertaken by the Devonshire Association, providing insightful analysis on the subject matter and drawing comparisons with folklore traditions beyond the county. The first major work on Devon's folklore since Ralph Whitlock's short book, published by the Folklore Society in the 1970s, this volume brings the subject into the 21st century with consideration of internet memes and modern lore, demonstrating that folklore does not equate to old rural practice. With chapters covering the history of Devon's folklore collecting, tales from the moors, the annual cycle, farming and the weather, the devils, fairies, hauntings, black dogs, witchcraft and modern lore, this will remain the standard book for many years to come. Now, this has already been released in the USA. It is releasing on October 1st in the UK, and this is one that is definitely making it onto my list of books that I want to get and read. So we then have a book from a fellow YouTuber, which I think is really, really cool. This is Witch in Darkness, Magic for Tough Times, Bad Days and Moments of Total Catastrophe by Kelly Ann Maddox. Guiding the reader through the concept of the craft as a life-saving, soul-nurturing practice for dark times, this book overflows with inspiration and compassion for witches in difficulty. The raw and honest tone peels back the surface layers of witchcraft's meaning and power, inviting the readers to use magic, ritual, and readings to heal and grow. When disaster strikes, a magical practitioner has endless tools to help them build strength and hope and face the seemingly impossible. Witch in Darkness is packed with nourishing wisdom, including advice on embracing the imperfect practice, cleansing, grounding, and shielding during tough times, witching through extremes, identifying high-risk and low-risk practices, energy management and low-maintenance magic, dealing with loss, grief and despair using witchcraft, magic and rituals for conflicts, dramas and relationship breakdowns, and addressing mental and physical issues from the witchcraft perspective. This book includes easy-to-follow step-by-step instructions to make magical action easier to execute. Discover tarot spread designs, journal prompts, words of power, and excellent suggestions for shifting your mindset, alongside a great Q&A segment to clear up confusions and help you get unstuck. Spiritual counsellor and witchcraft mentor Kelly Ann Maddox has a decade's experience in the magical space, offering workshops and one-to-one sessions and hundreds of informative videos on her popular YouTube channel. In this book, she draws on countless conversations with witches from all walks of life, as well as her own life journey through mental health breakdowns, struggles with self-harm and eating disorders, and heartbreaking bereavement. So this one sounds so good. It sounds like it could be incredible for so many people. So this is releasing on October 1st in both the UK and USA. Next up, we have The Intentional Witch, a guided journal with prompts, spells, and affirmations for a more magical you. In a fast-paced world, being a modern witch can feel like an impossible task. Between deadlines and to-do lists, spells are left unwritten, herbs gather dust, and crystal charging becomes a distant memory. Enter The Intentional Witch, the guided journal for the spellcaster who wants to reconnect with their inner magic. Immerse yourself in over 150 bewitching prompts, spellbinding activities, and whimsical affirmations that will guide you on your path to self-discovery, where you will unlock your talents and feel more grounded in your everyday life. Affirm your magic and strengths through motivational mantras and activities, enchant your witchy practice by learning and recording new spells, crafting sigils, and keeping track of your crystals, candles, and herbs through organizational charts and spellbook pages. Empower yourself by setting meaningful intentions and embracing realistic self-care rituals that can help soothe and energize you on your journey. The perfect inspirational witch gift, this enchanting journal and activity book will inspire you to embrace self-care, dispel negativity, and bewitch your everyday with positivity. Bring magic to your year and give this as a meaningful gift or holiday stocking stuffer for baby witches, accomplished witches, friends, family, or anyone in need of a bit of magic. Now, I will be honest and say that I don't know if this is necessarily going to be that useful for more advanced practitioners, especially those with lots of herbs, lots of crystals, lots of candles. I feel like a lot of the emphasis of this, maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of the emphasis on this is very much about keeping track of the things you've got and making your progress into a balanced form of magical practice. That sounds incredible. That sounds great. Would I be able to list all of the crystals I have in this book? Probably not. Same probably applies for the herbs. So it's one of those where I think it could be a really good gift, or it could be something that's really good for someone who is just dipping their toes in. Perhaps they're within their first couple of years, maybe up to 5 years in witchcraft. But do let me know, because this is already released in the USA. It is coming out on October 3rd in the UK. If you've read this, let me know how it would apply to other people's practice as well. Do you think this is better for just beginners, or do you think that everyone can have success and use out of it? Because obviously, I don't know, I've not read it yet. Next up, we have Magic for Transformation, Rituals and Alchemy for Manifesting Your Wildest Dreams. This cover, by the way, is just absolutely beautiful. So many covers right now are just gorgeous. They are not like they used to be. A little bit of a tangent perhaps, but I used to always work on the principle that if a book was really pretty on the outside, it was usually really bad on the inside. And if a book was really ugly on the outside, I'd usually buy it because it's pretty good on the inside. And while I do still stand by that for the most part, I think it's also important to remember that there are a lot of amazing publishers that have great cover artists. And so oftentimes you can't really decide how good something is going to be on the inside without actually giving it a go. But so many books right now are coming out with beautiful covers. I feel like I have to amend my statement and say that I'm just not gonna judge a book by its cover at all. Although, to be fair, I am a sucker for an underdog, so I will usually buy the battered, slightly damaged book that looks a little bit ugly. I'm a sucker for the underdog, what can I say? Alchemize your unique dreams and desires, glean the magical tools you need, and direct them towards your visions and goals to achieve a wild dream life that you never imagined was possible. Build your wild dream life, a life that is designed by you, that makes the most of your talents, skills, and gifts, that is made up of all the things you love, value, and desire. In this transformational guide, Brandy offers the wisdom, praxis, and rituals you need to say a full-bodied yes to releasing all the magic that resides in you, and then follow up with action in whatever form you choose. From meditation, journaling, tarot reading, and tracking your progress in a grimoire, to building ancestral connections, calling on spirit animal allies, and harnessing seasonal, astrological, and lunar magic. Brandy offers practical and magical ways to kickstart your journey and achieve your own radical personal alchemy. So this one is releasing on October 8th in both the UK and the US. We then have Wiccan Self-Care Spells, restorative rituals to ease stress, heal mind and body, and conjure contentment. Discover a set of soothing spells, wow, that's a tongue twister, and helpful hints to vanquish any worry heading your way. Applying the healing wisdom of our foremothers, Ceridwen Greenleaf's easy practices and pagan prescriptions are the perfect antidote to the hurly-burly world of stress, anxiety, worry, and constant bombardment of negative news. Wiccan Self-Care Spells is written with you in mind and includes dozens of inspired ideas using plants, roots, teas, herbal cures, crystals, and natural remedies to restore serenity to your life. For anyone dealing with sleeplessness, bouts of the blues, angst, and being overbusy, this book is the ideal combination of both mental and physical healing. The sacred self-care spells will take you from harried and hurried to contented and calm. Now, this is releasing on October the 8th in both the UK and USA. I will say, as I always do, I'm just throwing in my own 2 cents here. It always kind of worries me when we get physical healing thrown into the Wiccan spell mix. Now, that's not to say that you can't use spells and rituals to aid your healing, because you definitely can. What worries me is when people start replacing the medical assistance that they might need with magical. And so that's not to say that this is what this book is. It's not to say that it's going to be bad, but it might not be for anyone who doesn't follow the Wiccan tradition, because it is primarily focused on Wiccan spells. And I am curious as to how they are going to incorporate this together in a way that is going to keep everyone safe. Because everyone on here already knows, but if you are new to me, magic is not a replacement for medicine. And so I always think it's important to be looking at the mundane and medicinal causes first, and then adding the magic on top of that. Magic can assist with our medical care, but it should not be a substitute for seeking out professional medical help, seeking out professional psychological help, medication that we need to take in order to stay healthy. We need to be looking after our body as well as our mind and our energy. And so I think it's really important that we keep those boundaries in place. But if anyone gets this and wants to let me know what they think about it, do let me know. I'm probably not going to add this one into my collection, but I would love to hear what this book is about from someone who has read it. So feel free to come back, post a comment afterwards, leave your review. That applies to all of the books. I would be really grateful. I'm sure other people who stumble across this video would be too. Next, we have Crystals for Everyday Living. Bring happiness to your home, achieve your goals, and enhance every element of your well-being. Philip Permut has brought health, happiness, and harmony to many through his years of experience with crystals. With his most accessible guide to date, it is easy to incorporate the magic of crystals daily to enhance your everyday life. From selenite lamps in the living room to balance the energy of technology and screens, to carrying protective turquoise on your daily commute, Philip offers easy-to-follow tips for nurturing your relationships, bringing harmony to your home, providing performance at work, and achieving your life goals. A comprehensive directory featuring 101 of the most useful crystals, alongside information on harnessing them to enhance the feng shui energy of your home, connect to your chakras, and work with their astrological alignment for the most successful results. This one is releasing on the 8th of October in both the UK and the USA. I am curious as to how all of this is going to be brought together. When people typically ask me for books that I recommend on crystals, it's always the Crystal Bible series. There's loads of them. They're quite expensive. You can often find them in libraries, however. And that is a suggestion I have been giving for over a decade now, and so it makes me wonder whether I need to go back through and reread them and see if I still agree with them, because I'm curious as to how all of this is being mixed together in a way that makes sense. Feng Shui and chakras come from two completely different traditions, from two completely different areas. But yeah, let me know as well any recommendations you have on crystal books to perhaps allow me to revamp the recommendations that I give, because I don't often work with crystals now. And so the recommendations that I have are very much outdated. They are 10, 12, 15 years outdated, so I probably should update them. I'm gonna sneeze, I'm gonna sneeze, I'm gonna sneeze. Don't sneeze! Ah! I hate being ill. I got the sniffles. We then have Chronically Magical, Navigating Chronic Illness with Witchcraft. Your chronic illness/condition may always be with you, but so will your magic. This book is a beacon of hope for anyone grappling with chronic or invisible illness, a reminder that you are not alone. Through personal stories and practical magic, Danielle Dion guides you on a journey of self-discovery. She shows you how to incorporate spellcraft, healing, self-care, and self-confidence building practices into your own unique process. Chronically Magical presents techniques that help boost your energy, mood, and visions for your future. While it can't cure your illness, this book teaches you how to accept help from others, grow around grief, pace yourself according to the spoon theory, and more. You'll also learn how to work with the stone, plant, and animal allies. From energy clearing to spirit communication, Danielle covers every aspect of staying magical and manifesting for the better. Now, we have already spoken about this one. I believe it was last month, because it has already released in the USA, but it is releasing in the UK on the 8th of October, and this is one that I think looks really, really good. Now, the next one isn't going to be for everyone, but for some of you, you might really strongly resonate with this. So this is The Apostates Guide to Witchcraft, Finding Freedom Through Magic. Join the author as he recounts his uplifting journey from the confines of a fundamentalist Christian cult to an empowering pagan coven. Weaving his lived experiences with a gentle introduction to witchcraft, Moss explores what differentiates paganism from cults and high-control religions, inviting you to shed oppressive spiritual experiences and find support. Through his story of self-searching and religious liberation, Moss teaches that spiritual pursuits should be freeing and presents paganism as one such path. He invites you to dip your toe in the waters of witchcraft with a sampling of exercises and journal prompts inspired by Welsh and German traditions. A celebration of culture, authenticity, and spiritual recovery, this book will inspire you to question restrictive ideologies and develop a healthy practice of your own. This is already out in America and it's coming out in the UK on the 8th of October. And I think that this one could be incredibly powerful to people who have also had lived experiences like this, and maybe even not lived experiences themselves, but perhaps the environment in which they live in is very, very Christian or very, very formalized religion. This could be really useful. Now, I'm not sure whether I'm going to give it a read simply because I don't personally need this in my life and I'm very grateful for that, but I can imagine this one being incredibly useful. Next up, we have The Psychic Art of Tarot, opening your inner eye for more insightful readings. Awaken your inner eye and strengthen your psychic senses with the tarot. Drawing on decades of experience as a professional reader, best-selling author Matt Oren presents a comprehensive guide to unlocking your psychic potential. He shows you how to unite traditional tarot techniques and your own intuition, which will enhance your readings with astounding levels of accuracy and insight. With 78 exercises, meditations, and rituals accessible for practitioners of every experience level, The Psychic Art of Tarot provides step-by-step instructions for understanding your unique psychic style and mastering an array of skills. Explore the art of mediumship, soul alignment, auras, energy work, scrying, and more. Now, Matt Oren is the author of Psychic Witch, one of my favourite books for beginner witches, so that could be interesting for some of you. This is already released in America. I have already previously spoken about it, and it is coming out on the 8th of October in the UK. We then have one book I'm very, very excited about. This is Welsh Fairies, A Guide to the Lore, Legends, Denizens and Deities of the Otherworld by Mara Starling, the author of Welsh Witchcraft. And Mara is phenomenal. Like, genuinely, she is such a good public speaker. I've had the pleasure of seeing her speak, and this has been on my list for so long. I've been waiting for this to come out. Explore the enchanting world of the Welsh fairy tradition as this illustrated guide unveils the enduring presence of these magical beings in Celtic myth and folklore. Join Welsh native Mara Starling as she shares authentic Welsh beliefs, delves into the connection between magical practitioners and the fair family, discover the mysteries of the otherworld, the ethereal realm from which the fae emerge, and meet the Welsh king of fairies. Discover various fairy types and adjacent creatures like goblins and mermaids. More than a collection of stories, this book offers practical guidance and engaging exercises for understanding and interacting with the Fairfolk. Yes! Now, my time in Wales was magical. I encountered so many of the good neighbours, the wee folk, the little folk, the fair folk, however you want to describe them, more so than anywhere else. When I was in Wales, it was incredible. And so this is exactly the book that I want to read. This is releasing on October the 8th in both the UK and USA. And yeah, this one might be my favourite release of this entire month. We'll see, we'll keep going, but I think this one might be on top. We then have A Witch's Ally, building a magical relationship with animal familiars and companions. I have previously spoken about this in a past video, so this has already released in America. From the earliest grimoires, animals have been associated with witches. This book covers all aspects of working magic with familiars and how to create profound relationships with your own pets. The author shares folklore and historical information, as well as personal exercises and spells. Featuring a cover illustration by Laura Tempest Zakroff and deep insight on how the witches relate to their familiars and companions, this book helps you work with animal energy through dozens of charms, recipes, rituals, and more. Dodie takes you back in time to explore supernatural entities and long-ago symbolism. Then she delves into modern ways to understand animals and partner with them, including stories about her relationship with animals. From making pumpkin dog oat biscuits to shape-shifting via dance, this book will enrich your experiences with the animals in your life. Now, I do feel the need to emphasise that this is animal familiars and it will not cover any kind of spiritual familiar, which is my personal favourite. So just do bear that in mind. It's not going to cover everything familiar-wise, but for animal companions and animal-based familiars, this sounds pretty good. It's coming out on October 8th in the UK. Next up, we have Emergency Spells, Magic for Difficult Times. Sometimes life just throws a curveball that has the power to derail your day, week, or even month. But what if you could regain control by asking the universe for some help? In Emergency Spells, Green Witch Gaia Elliott shares 35 spells that can be cast with very little notice. Perfect for when you're out and about or ill-prepared for one of life's little surprises. Using easy-to-find ingredients, these spells are perfect for time-poor people who need results fast. From spells that will help you stop procrastinating to fast money, quick confidence boosters, job interview spells, love and even sleep spells. There's something for every emergency. Small enough to pop in your bag or on-the-go spellcasting, and beautiful enough to display on your bedside table, this magical book will enable you to harness the power of the universe and take charge of your destiny. That is coming out on October 10th in the UK and October 15th in the USA. The next is one that I've previously spoken about. It has already released in America. This is the Practical Witches Almanac 2025. Delve into iconic witchcraft traditions such as the utterance of Blessed Be and the influential Wiccan Rede, exploring their origins and relevance today. This introspective journey isn't just about history, it's an empowering quest. It challenges you to assess these traditions' place in your craft, embrace, adapt, or boldly defy these customs. This edition empowers you to shape your craft's evolution on your terms as you travel your unique spiritual path. It includes a whole bunch of stuff. I tried to read out the list and there's no commas in the list, so I'm struggling to know where the end of one section is and the start of another one. It includes a lot of stuff anyway. This is coming out on October 10th in the UK. We then have another one that looks so good to me. This is Something Wicked, The Lives, Crimes and Deaths of the Pendle Witches. On the 20th of August, 1612, 10 people from Pendle were executed before a vast crowd at Lancaster's Gallows Hill. The condemned and their associates had endured 6 months of accusations, imprisonment and torture. Their treatment was such that one of the group died in Lancaster Castle's dungeons while awaiting trial. Today, a thriving tourism industry exists in and around Pendle, the former home of the so-called witches, yet virtually everything we know about the case originates from a single source: Thomas Potts's wonderful Discovery of Witches, hurriedly published in 1613 and distinctly skewed in favour of the prosecution, until now. Sunday Times best-selling author Carol Ann Lee brings an entirely fresh perspective to the story by approaching it as true crime. Having worked in the genre for more than a decade, her research leads to revelatory discoveries, transforming our knowledge of these shadowy figures behind ill-famed names and the terrible events that befell them. After 4 centuries of superstition and surmise, the 2 central warring families, each headed by a fiery independent widow working as a cunning woman, emerge fully formed as the book uncovers the reality of their lives and their alleged crimes before exploring the trials and executions. Along the way, we uncover the truth behind some of the story's most enduring mysteries: the legend of Malkin Tower and the final resting place of the Pendle Witches. This is a groundbreaking book that will take the reader on a spellbinding journey into the dark heart of England's largest and most notorious witch trial. That sounds amazing! I know I'm getting this one. Without a doubt, I'm getting this one. It is coming out on October 10th in the UK and the USA. We then have Disabled Witchcraft 95 Rituals for Limited Spoon Practitioners. This is another one that we've previously spoken about. It is already released in America. The practices in many witchcraft books can be difficult for many of us to perform due to chronic illness, sensory issues, allergies, or other disabilities, with the financial limitations that often go hand in hand with them. In this guide, Disabled Witch Candy Zella sets out to change that through nearly 100 inclusive and sometimes spicy magical rituals designed for witches with disabilities of all kinds, physical and mental, visible and invisible. Disabled Witchcraft lays out a truly accessible magical practice with a solid dose of humour and heart. If your spoons are limited on any given day, that doesn't need to be a hindrance to following your spiritual path. From guidance on using crystals for nervous system regulation, to tarot readings for spoonies, to laying a curse upon unjust health systems, you'll find practical tools to harness the magic of your disabilities, fight both ableism and capitalism, and embrace a more expansive version of your craft. This is another that I think is going to be so useful to so many. It's already released in America. It is coming out in the UK on October 10th. Next up, we have the Moon Apothecary, Rituals and Recipes for the Lunar Phases. Best spelling, probably right too, but that's not what I was aiming for. Best-selling spiritual writer Lorraine Anderson has created a book of unique moon-based spiritual self-care, beauty and wellness recipes to invite both spiritual and physical nourishment into your life. The recipes take your personal energy, goals and needs into consideration, use the intelligence of the moon phases to discover your deepest desires, and learn how you can channel your intentions into everyday self-care, such as lotions and creams, oils and sprays, comforting teas, cleansing soaps, ritual baths, and more. You can even learn how to create a new beauty potion for every moon phase or transit through a new sign. You will also find knowledge and inspiration for creating potions based on the zodiac signs as they apply to the moon, special moon events such as blue moons and eclipses. So very much one for the moon-heavy witches out there. This is coming out on October 10th in the UK and October 1st in America. We then have The Complete Beginner's Guide to Green Witchcraft. Long ago, when our ancestors lived much closer to the earth than we do now, their awareness of the seasons and stars and the tides that govern green growing things was vital to their way of life. The knowledge of when to plant and when to reap, the ability to predict the life-giving dance of wind and bee, enabled our forefathers and foremothers to nurture their crops and gardens, feed their kinfolk and create healing remedies for their sick, as well as bringing them closer to the mythical and magical energies that permeate the world around us. You too can reclaim and share in this ancient knowledge and power as you step into the sunlit, verdant path of the Green Witch. Discover the environmental energy that surrounds us and how you can begin to embrace it. This one looks so good. It's coming out on October the 14th in the UK, but as I am filming this, I'm unsure when it's coming out in America, so if I can figure that out before I post it, I will leave it at the bottom of the screen. Next up is another book that I'm really tempted to get. This is a new edition of the Malus Malarum. Now, many of you will have heard of this book. I'm sure that if you haven't, you would probably be interested in it if you were on a witchcraft channel. This book was also known as the Hammer of Witches and plays an incredibly significant role in the witch trial and the witch hysteria period. And this is essentially a translation of it. And so I really want to get it for my own collection because I've never actually read it. It's one of those books that I know about, but I've never actually fully dived into. In 1487, the zealous inquisitor Heinrich Kramer, is it Kramer or is it Kramer? It's German, I believe. Kramer. Let me know, which one is it? Is it Heinrich Kramer or is it Heinrich Kramer? I'm not sure. I'm just going to pick one. It will probably change multiple times throughout this. In 1487, the zealous inquisitor Heinrich Kramer wrote a treatise that would have a remarkable influence on European history, blaming women for his own lust and frustrated by official complacency before what he saw as a monstrous spiritual menace. Kramer penned a practical guide to aid law officials in the identification and prosecution of witches, using theology, lurid anecdotes, and advice for those engaging in combating sorcery. The Malus Malarum transports the reader into the dark heart of medieval belief, where fear in the supernatural converged with a gripping struggle for understanding and control. The book led to the burning of numerous heretics and witches, and had a lasting impact on the popular image of witchcraft. This edition offers a clear, readable translation and an introduction that lays out the context of late medieval Europe, the time of spiritual paranoia, when powerful men suspected women's sexuality was a tool for the devil. Yeah, this one's going to be read by me. I'm definitely getting this one. This is coming out in both the UK and USA on October 15th. Another one that we have spoken about before is the Wittionary, an A to Z of magical terms and their meanings. The There is a wealth of jargon in the witchcraft community, from words related to sabbats like Beltane and Samhain, to ingredients, rituals, and a myriad of tools. The Wiktionary gathers all of these terms in one easy-to-refer-to place and gives newbie and beginner witches the guides they need to accompany them on their witchcraft journey. Filled with all the definitions that you could need, this A to Z of magical words and their meanings reveals exactly what an athame is and when you might use one, and explains when Beltane is and what you might do to celebrate it. All the way through to the end of the alphabet, all of the terms that might crop up in a spellbook are explained, along with why that spellbook might be called a Book of Shadows. As more and more people enter the witchcraft world, the need for accessible resources to demystify the most mysterious practices has never been clearer, and the Wiktionary is the perfect book for baby and beginner witches to have in hand. Along the way, there are 10 simple ideas for rituals, spells, and practices to try and put the newfound knowledge from within the pages to good use, such as a simple house blessing for a happy home, a recipe for anti-anxiety bath salts, and the tips and tricks necessary for casting a magic circle. So this is coming out on October 15th. This one is interesting to me. I don't think I'm going to get it myself because it's not the kind of book that I really need within my own practice. But I wonder where it's going to draw the line as to which version of terms it's going to use. It very much seems directed towards beginner witches, which is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with books that are aimed towards beginner witches, but it also, at least in my eyes, appears to be aimed at a younger demographic. And with a younger demographic, terms tend to mean different things. If you were to go on TikTok, you might hear a particular term being used in a way where it was not used 30, 40 years ago. And so older practitioners are over here being like, wait, that word doesn't mean that. And younger practitioners are over here being like, wait, that word doesn't mean that. And it gets a little bit confusing. So I wonder whether they're going to include different meanings for the same word, or whether it's just going to be the newer versions. I'm curious. So if you end up getting this, do let me know. I'm curious. Anyway, moving on. We then have Witchcraft, a graphic history, stories of wise women, healers, and magic. Join Lindsay, a young and curious 19th century lass, as she meets Biddy Early, the famous wise woman of County Clare, and learns all about the magical arts, from which plants can be used to make healing poultices and potions, to how people dealt with the social and political stigma of practicing witchcraft. Biddy Early, who lived from 1798 to 1874 in Ireland, was by no means the first ever witch, but she was the first to appear on the historical record. Before her, fears and superstitions surrounding practitioners of the nameless art were too strong. It is said that Biddy took an apprenticeship with the good folk, she or fairies, when she was very young, and it was from them that she learned her skills as a healer. Never one to accept monetary payment for the help she offered, Biddy would often swap homebrewed alcohol for her services, which in turn made her ramshackle cottage a hub for the local community. When her little corner of the county drew the attention of the Catholic Church and the local authorities, things became very difficult for this unusual woman, encompassing self-empowerment, feminism, dealing with stigma and eco-spirituality, as well as plant magic, traditions, and green wisdom. Witchcraft, a graphic history, is a fresh take on an endlessly fascinating topic. This is coming out on October 17th in the UK and October 15th in the USA. We then have one that completely took me by surprise. I didn't realise that this had come out. This is actually already released in America. It is yet to release in the UK. This is Jim Morrison, Secret Teacher of the Occult, A Journey to the Other Side. Jim Morrison, as in the Jim Morrison, the legendary musician Jim Morrison. What? I saw this title and I was like, what is actually happening? The groundbreaking 1960s band The Doors achieved incredible acclaim and influence, ultimately serving as a key group in the development of psychedelic and progressive rock. At the centre of it all was frontman Jim Morrison, who died in 1971 at age 27. Yet as author Paul Wilde reveals, despite Morrison's reputation as a lewd, drunken performer, he was a fully fledged mystical, shamanic figure, a secret teacher of the occult who was not merely central to the development of rock music, but also to the growth of the Western esoteric tradition as a whole. The author makes the case that Morrison was not simply a superficial dabbler in the occult, but an actual secret teacher transmitting knowledge through the golden thread stretching back to Egypt and Thoth. Examining how Morrison sought to use his role as a rock singer to express the power of inner experience, Wilde shows how praxis was at the heart of Morrison's approach, revealed in his journey through the arduous ordeals of shamanic initiation. He was a shaman, mystic and sage, and an essential part of the great spiritual awakening to which he gave himself over fully. This one is just so bizarre to me. I think it could be a really interesting read. I'm not really sure how I feel about it, honestly. It completely blindsided me. This was not what I was expecting to see. It is already released in America. It's coming out in the UK on October 24th. We then have another one that I have spoken about in last month's video. This is The Witching Year, a memoir of earnest fumbling through modern witchcraft. This is described as being, a skeptic spends a year trying to find spiritual fulfillment by practicing modern witchcraft in this fascinating memoir that is perfect for fans of A.J. Jacobs and Mary Roach. Diana Helmuth, 33, is skeptical of organised religion. She is also skeptical of disorganised religion, but more than anything, she is tired of God being dead. So she decides to try on the fastest growing self-directed faith in America, witchcraft. The result is 366 days of observation, trial, error, wit and backspasms. Witches today are often presented as confident and finished, proud and powerful. Diana is eager to join them. She wants to follow all the rules, memorise all the incantations and read all the liturgy. But there's one glaring problem. No witch can agree on what the right rules, liturgy and incantations are. As with life, Diana must define the craft for herself, looking past the fashionable and figuring out how to define the real. Along the way, she travels to Salem and Edinburgh, two very crafty hubs, and attends week-long clothing-optional witch camps in Northern California. Whether she's trying to perform a full moon ritual on a cardboard box, summon an ancient demon with scotch tape and a kitchen trivet, or just trying to become a calmer, happier person, her biggest question remains, will any of this really work? So this is already released in the USA. It is coming out on October 24th in the UK. We then have an almanac that is already released in the US. This is the Witches Almanac 2025. Founded in 1971 by Elizabeth Pepper, the art director of Gourmet magazine for many years, the Witches Almanac is a witty, literate and sophisticated publication that will appeal to general readers as well as hardcore Wiccans. At one level, it is a pop reference that will fascinate anyone interested in folklore, mythology and culture. At another, it is the most sophisticated and wide-ranging annual guide available today for the mystic enthusiast. Modelled after the Old Farmer's Almanac, it includes information related to the annual moon calendar, weather forecasts and horoscopes, as well as legends, rituals, herbal secrets, mystic incantations, interviews, and many a curious tale of good and evil. Although it is an annual publication, much of the content is both current and timeless, not specific to the date range of each issue. This is issue number 44, and it is coming out on October 24th. We then have a really, really cute book. There's actually two of these books coming out this year. I'm not sure, are they back to back in here? They aren't. You'll see another one later. They are so cute. They are children's books. This is Sam and the Samhain Scare, a Wheel of the Year book by Kathleen Converse. Sam and the Samhain Scare follows Sam and his friends from both sides of the Vale as they celebrate the pagan harvest festival of Samhain. Readers will enjoy rejoining a familiar cast of characters as Sam grapples with fears surrounding some of the scarier associations of late October, eventually learning that Samhain isn't scary after all. As the friends are joined by the spirits of their ancestors, they fire scry, read tarot, and share a harvest feast. Featuring illustrated rituals and spells after the story and back matter on the history of Samhain, Sam and the Samhain Scare is perfect for families with an established Samhain celebration or those wishing to explore pagan holidays for the first time. This one is so cute. I know that if I ever had kids, I would 100% be getting them these. This is freaking adorable. So this has already been released in America. It's coming out on October 24th in the UK. We then have Sea Magick, Connect with the Ocean through Folklore and Magical Traditions. This is definitely one for all of you who've been asking me for specific Sea Witchcraft books. This is another one to add to the list. We are drawn to the sea as if by a powerful spell. Covering 71% of our world, the element of water can soothe, cleanse, and protect. Sea Magick is your guide to understanding water magic and learning all the mysteries and stories that accompany the deep blue. As you use the element of water, discover the legends of Atlantis, the Bermuda Triangle, the 12 vile vortices, and more. From merfolk to sharks, microscopic phytoplankton to seaweed, and sea glass to sand dollars. There is so much to learn about our oceans in general and in magic. Want to become a sea witch? Laden with spells, meditations, and rituals, beginner or skilled practitioners take their magic out to the unknown depths of these large bodies of water. For those who do not have access to the ocean, learn how to call upon its energies from the comfort of your home. This guide will help you form a connection to our ocean mother and all she has to offer. Filled with enchanting original illustrations, the book answers the questions: what is sea magic? Who are the sea deities? What are the stories of the deep? What mythical creatures live in the sea? Which animals and plants have magic? Should I collect sea-found items? What kind of power does sea weather harness? And more. Take in the beauty of sea magic and find your appreciation of the sea and nature deepening as your magical abilities expand. Whether you already practice witchcraft or you are just a lover of the ocean, beach, and sea, this lushly illustrated book is the perfect addition to your magic library, coffee table, or bookshelf. And yeah, this one, I gotta admit, looks really good. I am tempted. I don't work with sea witchcraft as I used to, but when I'm by the sea, I can't help it. It's that like natural draw that I've always had. I'm tempted. So this is coming out on the 8th of October in the USA and the 24th of October in the UK. We then have another that we've spoken about previously. This is the Comfy Cozy Witch's Guide to Making Magic in Your Everyday Life. Whether you're a novice curious about witchcraft but aren't sure where to start, or a seasoned witch interested in deepening your practice, this warm, accessible, and nurturing interactive guide shows you the way. The Comfy Cozy Witch's Guide to Making Magic in Your Everyday Life combines the practical charm of the little book of... I was told how to pronounce this after last video and I have completely forgotten. Haig is definitely not right, but that is how it is phonetically. I'm sorry. The Little Book of Haig with the down-to-earth wisdom of the spell book for new witches and the practical advice of Grimoire Girl. Drawn from decades of popular podcaster Jenny Blonde's experience, she shares 7 tenets to help you begin to develop your own authentic practice. This beautifully designed book, filled with spellcraft exercises, magical journaling prompts, delicious recipes, and do-it-yourself tips for the home and garden, has everything necessary to develop your witchcraft practice, built on magical authenticity, comfort, and self-care. This is already published in the USA. It is coming out on October 24th in the UK. I'm realising that the longer this video goes on for, the faster I am speaking. I'm really sorry if I'm getting too fast for some people. If you are ever wondering if you can slow me down, get me to chill out a little bit, or maybe sometimes speed me up, YouTube does have an option where you can click a little button and you can change the speed of the video. So you can have it up to 2 times speed, or I think down to 0.25 speed. So if you do find I talk too fast or too slowly for you, you can adjust me like that if you need to. I don't mind, I promise I won't take offense. Now the next one is one for anyone who loves the astrology and the zodiac aspects of my What's New in Witchcraft videos. This is the 2025 horoscope, your year ahead. Would you like to know which areas of your life are worth pursuing in 2025, so you know where to channel your energy and time? Would you like to know what's coming up in regard to your love life, your work and career, your health and wealth? And would you like a guide in your year helping you plan ahead so you can stay in flow and avoid being tripped up by the unknown? The 2025 horoscope, your year ahead, offers you all of the above and more. It includes 12 horoscopes for each of the 12 star signs. In addition, you will find out about your top tips for 2025 and your luckiest dates, so you can use the knowledge of astrology to boost your luck. There are chapters on the major planetary movements in 2025, including sections on the Mercury retrograde and the moon cycles. In fact, everything you need to know to live the best year yet. This is not yet released in America, and I'm going to have to double check when it's going to come out, but it is going to be available on October 24th in the UK. I will say though that one aspect of your astrological chart is not necessarily going to define your entire life, but it is just one small section of it, and it can often be a starting point for a lot of people just getting interested in it. The next book is actually a republication, so if you already have this book in your collection, you do not need it again. This is Crafting a Tradition of Witchcraft, Creating Foundations for Your Spiritual Beliefs and Practices by Raven Gramassi. As I mentioned in many of these videos, actually I think every single What's New in Witchcraft video that I've done since I started doing them in June has included a Raven Gramassi work. Now, Raven Gramassi sadly passed away several years ago now. His books are currently being republished. And so because of that, you might find that there are republications of books you already have in your collection. Crafting a Tradition of Witchcraft will help better identify your own magical and spiritual beliefs, while showing you how to use these ideals as the building blocks for your own magical tradition. This book encourages you to reclaim your power and forge your own path to magical empowerment by showing you how to articulate your own beliefs as they pertain to the magical and spiritual aspects of the craft. Raven Gramassi encourages you to break free from the constructs of pre-existing or outdated magical structures. Working through this book will show you how to build your own tradition from the ground up, making you stand at the forefront of a craft tradition that is tailored to your own personal ideologies. Whether you are a solitary witch or a member of a new or existing coven, all practitioners will benefit from an in-depth study of their own core magical beliefs, as encouraged by the author. From exploring your own beliefs on the witches' gods and goddesses, the seasonal calendar, lunar and solar mysteries, as well as the practice of magic itself, each witch can rise up with a newfound sense of empowerment. This is coming out on the 25th of October in the UK and the 7th in the USA. We then have another that I spoke about last month. This is The Disciple's Guide to Ritual Magic, a beginner's introduction to the high art. Disciple's Guide to Ritual Magic is a book written for the beginner magician who seeks the integral practice of a ritual magician. This book presents concepts and insights found in no other book on the subject. Frate Barbarus believes that all magicians seek enlightenment and gnosis, whether they know it or not. This means that the practice of magic must be expanded and broadened so that it is as much a full spiritual discipline and means to gaining gnosis as any other spiritual system. This book is an attempt at making magic a comprehensive discipline that affects all aspects of life. This one looks really, really good. It's already released in America and it is coming out in the UK on the 25th of October. We then have A Confluence of Witches, celebrating our lunar roots, decolonizing the craft and re-enchanting our world. A Confluence of Witches aims to highlight how witchcraft has always been a diverse, constantly evolving, culturally specific practice with many lineages and rich traditions. It features essays, spells, and reflections from witches, traditional healers, herbalists, and artists on themes of magical activism, animism, and merging ancient practices with modern technologies, among other mystical subjects. The diverse representation of contributors will honour and celebrate the multicultural and multivalent ways that the witch operates within our society. With an increasing interest in and practice of witchcraft comes a greater need for authentic sources of wisdom that are culturally relevant and sensitive to the many lineages of traditions of witchcraft, healing work, and magic. A Confluence of Witches provides insights and perspectives from a diverse range of people who, in one form or another, identify as a witch. So that is coming out on the 7th of October in the USA and the 25th of October in the UK. Next up, we have Bastet Revealed, Mysteries and Magic of the Sacred Icon. Baphomet, often misunderstood and cloaked in misinterpretations, has left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness, standing at the crossroads of the occult, religion, and the quest for arcane knowledge. This provocative entity, existing simultaneously as myth, magic, and symbol, demands an exploration not bound by the confines of a single discipline or perspective. Baphomet Reveals sets out to undertake this multifaceted exploration. Over the years, Baphomet has been called a demon, deity, and the devil himself. But Baphomet is none of those things. Baphomet's origins are as elusive as its symbolic form, yet we begin our inquiry with the Templars, where the name Baphomet was perhaps first uttered or misunderstood as a distortion of the name of the prophet Muhammad. We trace Baphomet's course through history, their intersections with Gnostic thought, Freemasonry, the teachings of Aleister Crowley, and the myriad of occult groups that have drawn upon this potent symbolism. While Baphomet has often been misconstrued as a demonic figure, the figure is, in reality, a symbol, a complex cipher holding within its form the keys to profound philosophical and estoic truths. Baphomet Revealed will take readers on a journey that weaves together the threads of history, symbolism, and estoic philosophy, unravelling the tapestry of Baphomet's enduring mystique. Such a journey would be incomplete without acknowledging the essential contributions of Eliphas Levi, whose conceptualization of Baphomet has profoundly shaped our modern image of this occult icon. Levi's Baphomet, far removed from demonic caricature, emerges as an emblem of equilibrium, a harmony of opposing forces and a mirror to the universe's inherent dualism, and an icon of equity and gender equality. References will be drawn extensively from primary sources. The inclusion of historical depictions and magical seals associated with Baphomet will provide a visual companion to the text, inviting readers to engage with the symbol directly. By melding rigorous academic inquiry with a spirit of open-minded exploration, Baphomet aims to shed new light on the shadowy figure, illuminating Baphomet's proper place in the annals of human thought and spiritual endeavour. This is coming out on the 7th of October in the USA and the 25th in the UK. So this one looks really good to me. We've had quite a few books like this coming out recently. We've had The Witch's Devil, we've now got this one, so there's quite a lot of options to choose from if this kind of topic is interesting to you. We then have Witches, A Compendium. A compendium of witches through the ages, from earliest prehistory to some of the most significant modern practitioners. Witches explores who and what is a witch, ranging from such famed historical figures as Marie Laveau, Tituba, Sybil Leek, Isabel Gowdy, and Countess Elizabeth Bathory, popularly known as the Blood Countess, to popular literary and cinematic figures such as Endora, the Scarlet Witch, Storm, and the Wicked Witch of the West. The author offers a complete range of the history of witches. Also included are the sacred Baba Yaga, Lilith, Isis, Hecate, Diana, Aradia, and Circe, and the profane Salem witch trials and the burning times, plus travel tips for witches and a guide to the tools of the trade. Witches is appropriate for readers of all ages and serves as an excellent and entertaining introduction for those fascinated by the topic. Previously published in 2010 as a wiser field guide to witches, the book has been updated for new witches as well as a new era. So if you already have a previous version of this, you might not want this one again. This is coming out on October 7th for the USA and the 25th for the UK. This is the other of those children's books, which is just so cute. This is called Boys Are Witches 2, and this is one of the earlier ones, I believe. So this has already been published in America. A magical journey celebrating the diversity and beauty of witchcraft. Explore a magical world where witchcraft welcomes all. This rhyming ABC book celebrates the beauty of both the goddess and god energies. A is for apple, F is for forest, R is for raven, Z is for zodiac. Discover the hidden wisdom behind these 26 enchantingly illustrated entries as you uncover the mysteries of the craft. Immerse yourself in this richly illustrated book, perfect for pagan kids and their families. Boys Are Witches 2 takes you on a journey through the mystical wheel of the year and the wonders of nature magic, inspiring readers to connect with the elements and the world around them. Let Boys Are Witches 2 be your guide on a magical journey, discovering witchery's natural wonders from A to Z. Doesn't that just sound so cute? I think that sounds amazing. It's already released in the USA. It's coming out on October 28th in the UK. Pagan Portals, Celtic Fairies in North America. Now, many of you already know my opinions on this. Personally, if I were to buy a book on fairies, I wouldn't go for a Pagan Portals book because they are very expensive for what they are, but they do tend to be fairly good with their information. There are some that I really don't like, some that I really like. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, and with all of these, if you want to read reviews, you can. You don't have to get them as they release. These books are still going to be here in a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, 6 years. They're still going to be there. So if you want to read reviews, wait a little while, read some reviews, and then gauge whether or not you want to get a book based on those. This book looks at the question of whether Celtic cultural fairies can be found in North America by exploring folklore across the last 400 years through today. Stories of belief and personal encounters from Canada, the US, and Mexico show the flexibility of fairy belief and the way that these beings and ideas adapt to new places and times as they are carried along with the people who believe in them. Perfect for anyone who has ever wondered if Celtic fairies can be found outside of Europe, what those appearances may be like, and what people have believed and do believe about fairies in diasporic communities. Fairy beliefs survived thousands of years of attempted suppression by religious groups. Celtic fairies in North America shows that they survived and adapted to emigration, immigration, and the influence of popular culture. So I don't have a date for the US yet. If I find one before I finish editing this, I'll put it on the screen, but it is releasing in the UK on October 29th. So I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in here and say, yeah, in my experience as someone who has worked with the Fairfolk for many, many years, fairies and fairfolk are found all around the world, but they're probably not going to be called fairies, and the different types of fairies are going to vary. Indigenous cultures are going to have their own names and their own belief systems for the spirits that in other areas would be referred to as different things and described in different ways. You often find many, many similarities between house fairies in one location and house spirits in another. It's just that the culture is different, the traditions are different, and the names are often different. And because fairfolk and spirits have spent so much time around human civilization, the terms that humans use to describe them is often significant. That's why we call them wee folk and little people. We don't want to offend them, and so it's really important not to override Indigenous terminology, Indigenous culture, Indigenous legends, stories, and folklore, because that has a lot of value when you want to learn about the spirits of place in a particular region, rather than, say, simply trying to transplant Celtic wording and Celtic belief systems into a different place. I hope that makes sense. It's not that they don't exist in other places, it's just that they are going to perhaps be described in a different way. We have the Lexicon Lemurium, a lexicon of witchcraft. Now this one is likely to be really popular among some of you. It is going to be quite hard to find and quite expensive. The Lexicon of Witchcraft is an illustrated compendium of witchcraft terminology, encompassing rituals, symbols, spirits, objects, and other specialised concepts of witchcraft. Focusing on the European medieval witch and her modern occult legacy, the work contains over 600 terms, many rare or obscure, and also includes the phenomena of contemporary witchcraft practices. This is coming out on the 29th of October in both the UK and USA. Next up, we have The Witch's Way Home, Magic Spells and Rituals to Lead You Back to Your Most Powerful Self. Discover your authentic self and unleash the powerful witch within. This book is your guide to navigating a magical life. It's easy to lose your way, but The Witch's Way Home will help you to reconnect with your heart so that you can return home to your true self. Modern witch Emma Griffin has created a roadmap for personal growth, spiritual awakening, and living a magical life. In this accessible book of magic spells and rituals, you will discover what makes a witch, the witch wound and how you can heal, how to unlock your magic, animal guides, nature magic, and the witch's calendar, the power of connecting with the spirit realms, and how to raise your vibration to call in your power. This is not just a spell book, but a transformational journey. The Witch's Way Home will help you to release any limiting beliefs that hold you back from living a fulfilling life. You will find the courage to delve deep into yourself, confront your fears, and finally step into your power. This is coming out on October 29th in both the US and UK. We then have The Chaotic Witch, How to Practice Chaos Magic with Traditional Witchcraft. This one looks really good for me. In the context of modern witchcraft, a chaos witch is typically someone who practices chaos magic. Chaos magic is a contemporary magical practice that emerged in the late 20th century. It is characterized by its flexible and eclectic approach, often eschewing the rigid structures and dogmas found in more traditional forms of magic. Practitioners often view belief as a tool that can be consciously manipulated to achieve desired outcomes. This means they might adopt different belief systems temporarily to harness their psychological power, discarding them when they are no longer useful. The focus of chaos magic is on achieving tangible results rather than adhering to any particular spiritual or religious ideology. Practitioners are encouraged to experiment and find what works for them personally. Chaos witches often draw from a wide variety of magical traditions, symbols, and practices, combining them in unique ways. This might include elements from Eastern and Western esoteric traditions, popular culture, and personal symbolism. One common practice in chaos magic is the creation and use of sigils, symbols that are imbued with the practitioner's intent, and then charged through various methods to manifest that intent. Chaos magic often emphasizes the psychological aspects of magic, exploring how altering one's perception and consciousness can lead to changes in the external world. Chaos magic places a strong emphasis on personal empowerment and self-discovery, encouraging practitioners to develop their own unique path rather than following traditional rules. The role of a chaos witch can be quite personal and individualistic, reflecting the practitioner's own beliefs and experiences. It is often seen as a dynamic and evolving practice that adapts to the needs and creativity of the individual. This is coming out on October 31st in both the UK and the USA. We then have The Wheel, a witch's path to healing through nature. A woman's journey to understanding how witchcraft can heal us, reconnect us with nature, and keep us magical in an age of disbelief. After Jennifer Lane reached breaking point in her fast-paced office life and suffered stress-related illness, she set out to rediscover the solace and purpose that witchcraft had given her as a teenager. The Wheel is an immersive, engaging read, exploring the lifelong draw of witchcraft and our vulnerability to toxic working environments and digital demands. In her year-long journey, Jennifer explores ancient festivals and rituals, visits fellow pagans and wild landscapes in her search for wisdom and peace. For those who are sick at heart of noise, anger, and disconnection, the Wheel is full of wise words, cackling rituals, and natural beauty. This is a quest to discover how to live fully connected to the natural world while firmly in the 21st century. This is coming out on October 1st in the USA. I am unsure when it is publishing in the UK, but I will let you know. This one looks really, really good though. I'll be honest, I actually think this one looks better than the one that we spoke about last month. I just think that the wording of it, for me anyway, is better. But yeah, anyway, that one's coming out on October 1st. We then have the Museum of Witchcraft. Step inside the Museum of Witchcraft, an eclectic exploration of witchcraft and magic through 100 objects, practices, and symbols. From cauldrons, candles, and curses to tarot, trees, and toads, this book is a fascinating tour of the occult, exploring the icons, artifacts, and traditions that have stirred fear and fascination for centuries. With magical, bespoke illustrations and text written by an expert in witchcraft and the supernatural, the Museum of Witchcraft is a beautifully illustrated almanac of all things Stoic. Now, I have spoken about this one before. It is coming out in America on the 8th of October. I'm unsure when it is coming out in the UK, but the fact that I've spoken about it before makes me think it's probably come out, but I will double check. I'll let you know on all of these anyway. We then have Witches Among Us, Understanding Contemporary Witchcraft and Wicca. Occult references ripple frequently through mainstream culture. Wiccan and witchcraft movements appear trendier than ever, and chances are that you've unknowingly acquainted with at least one witch. Drawing on her expertise as a magical practitioner and religious studies scholar, Thorn Mooney pulls back the curtain, introducing you to a complex world and helping you understand why it holds such intense appeal for so many. Thorn answers all your questions and dispels common misconceptions while delving into what it means to be a witch, including beliefs and practices. Discover what magic really is and what casting it entails, gain insight into Wicca's distinctions from witchcraft and how these communities are structured. With this fascinating yet concise guide, you can better understand the witches in your life and the reasons why magical thinking thrives. So this one is coming out on October 8th. We then have Natural Magic, craft spells in alignment with nature and the magical world. This is coming out in America on October 30th. Harness the magical energy of natural magic with this beautifully illustrated hardback guide, complete with spells, rituals, and meditations. Natural magic is a wondrous, spellbinding energy of the natural world around us. From working with the phases of the moon to using the power of herbs and a magical altar, you will learn how to create your own rituals and meditations in order to bring everyday natural magic into your life. Learn about magical familiars, green living, shadowcraft, and more, and tap into the enchantment of the natural world. You will discover how to harness the healing powers of nature, align your energy to the moon, and work with animals and magical allies. And then we have just two more, one of which is very much for the season ahead. So this is Winter Magic, A Witch's Yule. Winter Magic is perfect for anyone seeking to connect with their own magic during the enchanting time of Yule and to harness the power of the winter solstice. Readers will be introduced to various Yule spirits and deities, both light and dark, gain insight into the pagan origins of Christmas traditions, and learn how to create and foster a Yule that honours and celebrates the winter solstice and the returning light of the sun. Winter Magic will show you how to make pine needle bundles and hand-dipped taper candles for mindful gift-giving, identify the most powerful colours, herbs and spices for your practice, create the perfect winter altar and perform rituals to honour Yule deities and spirits, bring magic to the kitchen with a nourishing witch's soup, set intentions as you celebrate the winter solstice and welcome the new year, learn how to read tarot and other divination tools, work with the moon and its influence, and much more. Whether you are a seasoned practitioner seeking new insights or a baby witch curious to delve into the magical practices associated with this festive season, Winter Magic offers a treasury of knowledge and practices to enrich your winter solstice celebrations. That comes out on Samhain itself, October 31st. And finally, I feel like we've been here for ages. To be fair, we've been here for 2.5 hours, so It's been a long list. We have when you're stressed out, wiped out, or just have no more spoons to give. Discover how to do witchcraft the lazy way with this self-care promoting book of super easy spells and rituals for days when you're feeling stressed, burned out, or just generally shitty. Traditional witchcraft is a lot of work, and some days you just need to do things the lazy way. After all, everyone gets tired sometimes. Some of us get tired a lot. In Lazy Witchcraft for Crazy Shitty Days, the author shows you how to do witchcraft even when you're really, really tired, or sick, or burnt out, or just had a really crappy day. Andrea's approach to witchcraft is rooted in making things as easy as possible, so you can continue to do magic even when you don't have the spoons to give. The book is divided into 6 chapters, each of which focuses on a different kind of magic, including self-care, focus and energy, protection and warding, manifestation, and more. Each spell or ritual is rated according to the number of spoons it takes to perform, and yes, that does include 0 spoon options for really bad days. The book will also feature Andrea's best tips for divination, bulk recipes, herbs, ingredient and item substitutions, and more. Fun, irreverent, and gorgeously illustrated, Lazy Witchcraft for Crazy Shitty Days is the easiest witchcraft book you will ever buy. It's perfect for beginners, young practitioners, or any witch who's ever struggled to find the magic inside themselves on a really bad day. That is coming out on October 15th in America and October 31st in the UK. Oh boy, how many of you are still here? Are you good? Are you okay? If you are still here, let me know. Leave some stars in the comment section, and I'm going to try to heart as many of them as I can because, oh boy, that was a lot. That was a lot. I have some favourites in here. The one by Daniel Schulke, so Lexicon Lemurium is up there for me. That looks to be really, really good. What else have we got that I really like the look of? Welsh Fairies, obviously, by Mara Starling, is definitely up there. Those are the 2 that I'm most excited about, plus the Pendle Witches one. I think that one sounds really good. Let me know which one of these you are interested in getting for yourself, if any, or any new book releases that you are particularly interested in getting that perhaps I didn't include in this video. If you've made it this far in this video, give yourself a pat on the back, get yourself a cup of tea, a biscuit. I know that technically they're called biscuits, but it's the fault of that one advert, right? It was this one advert from when I was younger, and it had this bear eating biscuits, and it would call them biscuits, and I've never been able to call them anything other than biscuits since. It's a little bit like how now I've started to say microwave unironically. Thanks, Nigella. Every time I say microwave, it sounds wrong. I feel like I have to say microwave. It's one of those situations. Anyway, regardless, I've been sitting here for way too long. It's literally gone dark outside. If you do enjoy these videos, I do have a playlist of them that you can check out. If you want more book content, if you do want to know about the astrological events that are happening in October, I will leave that linked up here and also down in the description box if you do want to check that out. These videos take me so long to make, so thank you so much to any of you who are still here. If you are, if you could give this video a like, it massively helps me. It helps tell YouTube that you really like it. It helps tell me that you like it, and it just generally means a lot. If you do enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I try to post magical content every single week, and with that being said, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you have a marvelous magical day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!